Wadid, and today I'd like to talk to you about something that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is generosity. What is generosity? Generosity is the virtue of liberal giving. What does that mean exactly? Well, an easy way to think about it is to be able to give freely without abandon. However, to also be a good steward of what you're giving. This does not mean just write checks to your favorite charities or to any good cause that comes your way. In order for you to achieve that, I really would like to take you through a journey, and that's going to be a journey that entails a lot of facets. Think of it as a tripod. In order for you to be very good at your journey and be able to finish well, you are going to need that tripod. And that tripod consists of your time, your talents, and your treasures. They're all equally important. However, we are going to dive into that later on and see how we can achieve that. One of the things that most people ask is, why give? What can I do to change the world? Well, it has been said, and it is true, that it is more blessed to give than to receive. And that will be demonstrated over the next few sessions that we talk about when you organize your journey. Think of this as a marathon. This is not a 100-yard sprint. This is for long-term, a life journey that will be incredibly rewarding. I wanted to touch base on the 3 items that we talked about and try to go through one by one and explain to you why it is so important. First of all, most charities don't just need for somebody to write a check and move on and let them do the work. Most charities need your time, they need your knowledge, they need your check, but most importantly, they need you. And in order for you to be a good steward of what you are trying to accomplish, you need to put a business plan together. You need to treat this as if it's a business and it's a little venture that you are very well invested into. So let's start with looking at your time. The easiest thing that you could do is write a check. It takes no time, it takes no effort, and you just pass it on. Most of the time when you're doing that, you are robbing yourself from the ability to grow and see the fruits of that labor. However, it is very important to be able to dedicate a slot of time. Think of it as a business meeting, or think of it as a Zoom meeting, as the world has changed to that. You organize it, you put schedules to it, and you spend the time exploring every possibility in that Zoom meeting or whatever the meeting is for. You need to do the same thing for charities. If you are passionate about something, and this is where it all begins, your passion. Your passion should dictate what it is that you're going to give to, and should be covered in prayer, because without passion and prayer, your giving is marginal at best. So if you are very clear on where you need to give, because you have prayed about it, and you're very intentional with your time, that is just a great start. So we've looked at some of the key ingredients of baking the cake, which is generosity. It's more than just giving a check. So we've realized that you need to have a passion. There are great causes. There's thousands of charities around the world. You can't donate to all of them. This is where the passion part comes in. You have to be passionate about something. I am personally very passionate about orphans and widows, and have dedicated the last 28 years donating, discovering, vetting all the charities that can help me accomplish my dream. And furthermore, I have kept them accountable for the money and the time that I have given them, and as well as the treasure. So let's dive a little bit deeper into how to get started, and let's incorporate your time, your talents, and your treasures. As I was saying, how do you get started? Well, there is no time like the present, so now is the time to get started. And how do you go about it? Again, cover it in prayers, see what you're passionate about. If your passion is helping children, disabled children, find out who's doing the work. You're not going to re-engineer and start something unless there is somebody else that's not doing it. And if there is somebody that's doing it, then you need to go and write a list of all the charities that are involved in that. Then you need to pick up the phone and make an appointment, and you need to go see them. And you need to understand fully what it is that they're doing. And furthermore, you need to ask them for their financials to see how they're spending your money. Eventually, it will be your money. So this is where the homework starts. You go to the charities, you ask them for the information, you share with them your vision and where you want them to go. See where their roadblocks are and how you can help them. So there we go. We've started the journey. Now comes to your talents. What are your talents? Are you great in accounting? Are you great in vision building? What it is that God has put into you that He hasn't put into anybody else that you're extremely good at. Use that to help the charity achieve its goal and achieve its markers. That is a very important thing that you can that is extremely valuable that you can invest into the charities. Charities can only do the work that they are asked or tasked to do. But there is so much more outside the box. If you dream big, if you pray about it, it will just be very, very fruitful. So we've looked at your time, we've looked at your treasures. Finally, let's look at your, we've looked at your time and we've looked at your talents. Now let's look at your treasures. Once you have identified the charity, once you have poured out your talents to really let them know what it is that you want to accomplish and where you can see this going, then you put a business plan together. And that business plan has to be just like a business plan for any business. It has to succeed and it has to have a return on its investment. What do I mean by a return for its investment? If your goal is to reach 100 kids in 6 months, then you have to measure that. And you have to make sure that the money that you have spent reaches those 100 kids in 6 months. So putting that business plan together is the key thing for you to start funding. Remember, I said funding is absolutely the last thing you should do. Why? Because you need to start with your time, then your talent, and the last thing you do is your funding, which is your treasure. If it's a project that you decide to start with and it's $100,000, commit to that. And make sure that you look into it month in, month out. Make sure that you're meeting the goals that you have set for that project, just like any business that you would do. A healthy giving basically will bring you to an ultimate generosity. The journey is going to be phenomenal. It is going to be difficult. It's going to have its challenges, but the rewards are unbelievable. So we've looked at the 3 components of that. What do you get out of it? You're spending your time, you're spending your talents, and you're spending your treasures. What do you get out of it? Well, God promises you that you will be blessed. In Malachi, He says He will fill you and bless you beyond your wildest imagination. However, that is not the reason to do that. Something in that journey is going to transform your life. You are going to realize that you are the beneficiary as well as the recipients. This is going to help your perspective in life and make you realize that you have so much to offer. Big question, why were we put here on earth? Why did Jesus come? Jesus was the ultimate demonstrator of generosity. He had nowhere to live, yet he gave, he fed, he healed, he gave and poured out everything that he had. And this is what we are to mirror, and this is what generosity is all about. It's not about what we can have, it's not about what we can accomplish, because the reality is we can't accomplish anything without God's help. So, to take it down to basics, we are asked to do so, and it is our duty to do so. In conclusion, before we get into more deeper into series, just consider that generosity is not just about writing a check. Generosity is a commitment, like everything else in life. It's a journey. It's a long journey. It's a life-lasting journey. And it's one that gets a lot of twists and turns, and it's one that can be tweaked along the way. However, it is a very fruitful journey. It is a very meaningful journey. There's a lot of things that we do in life that unfortunately are not meaningful. Big houses, better cars, better jobs. This one is meaningful and lasts, and the effects of that will transcend generations. You want to change the world, this is how you do it, through your generosity, practiced properly and doing the things that you are passionate about and that God's heart is fully engaged in. Thank you.